Namaste, everyone. Sorry, it took me a minute to get you access. There's Frank.
Hello.
Hello.
Everyone.
Hello.
Post the lecture in soon. I'm a little bit confused.
Who is not here? Isa is not here, and Laura, she may notice that she's not going to be here. So
Isa is trying to log in, but we have some
she's
problems.
trying to log in. Okay, good. We will wait a minute for her. And I can share the screen with you while we are going to today deal with the philosophy behind the practice. As you know, if you have looked at the outline of the whole course. I see some action behind you there, Frank, so that must be it. Or I said something else. Okay. But okay, while we're waiting for her, we can just mention that we are now in session 4. And again, as I mentioned before, sessions 7 and 8 and 9 and 10 will be mostly talks on your part, but of course with some guidance and some commentary and so on our part. But it's about how to give an introduction and how to give a guided practice. We'll also deal with the history of the branch, our branch of the tradition, and how to use this practice in everyday life. So there's a lot of material to grab a hold of. And today, I think you will find particularly interesting, some of you who have studied some of this in other contexts. You know, it's a very simple tradition, but it has a particular way of looking at life, which is important to understand, not only to do the breathing exercise, but to understand what Isa, there you are. She's admitted. Is she in? Yes, she's in with her friend. Maybe she can't hear me. Okay, so we will get rid of this presentation for the moment and see if I can handle all this technical stuff here. Okay, you all see me now? Or do you see the, yeah, you do? Okay. All right, very good. So we're going to have open eyes class. Next time we will have a guided meditation as a way of giving you several examples of that, you know. And then, but today we'll do open eyes as a way of helping you to go deeper. I'm having a little bit of trouble here with my size of the pictures, etc. I don't know why.
Maybe stop sharing the other content for now.
Or is that, do you think that's what makes it like this?
Well, the mode is a little bit different with how you see the other participants.
Yeah, I don't want that. I want it the way I'm usually doing it.
Yeah.
But I only see the small pictures now, and I don't really see the.
You're still sharing content.
Sharing is paused. Stop share. Now there, everything got big and nice. Thank you, Stefan. I knew you. Wow, that looks cozy, Isa.
Yeah.
All right. Welcome, everyone. We will do the open eyes first, and then a little bit of reflection on what's been going on. And then we'll have a presentation on the philosophical background of this, okay? So close your eyes for a moment.
Sorry?
And everybody should be muted, I think. That's the best. Just really feel your attention turn within yourself. And as you do the down the front, up the back, and the double breathing, try to really be aware of that simplest of simple states where you are just open and aware. Whatever happens in that state is okay. And just observe it. When you are ready, open your eyes. I've muted myself. All right. I had to laugh or smile a little bit, Isa, because just as we're working, these two dog legs come up, reaching for heaven. So that's cool. Totally relaxed. Well, let's have each of you say a few words. You know, how has it been this week? I think generally it's been a kind of a difficult week for a lot of people, us included here. But whatever it's been, let's hear a little bit. And those of you who didn't talk last week about your transformation process, maybe you can include, and who didn't send us a video, Laura sent a video, which was nice. And we would like to hear a few words about where you are in your transformation process. Who of you didn't? Stefan, maybe you start with you and you say a few words about that and how
Yes,
last
I
week
will
has
be
been.
quick. Well, it's a difficult week, and yesterday I had a really terrible headache.
Mm.
But the thing is, I usually don't have headaches, so something was changing, I guess.
Yeah.
And it was not so nice, and
Or
more and
something
more
in the
stuff.
atmosphere is changing and it's having an impact on you. You know, this is, yeah.
But I really like to do the meditation 2 times. It really changes the whole day to start doing it in the morning
Yeah,
and
good.
just focus on the heart. And yeah, it's not getting boring work-wise, let's say that.
Yeah, isn't that interesting? Yeah.
More
Well,
and more and
elaborate a
more.
little bit. How does it not, how is it not boring for you?
Well, I'm getting aware of more and more reoccurring patterns or things or thoughts
Yeah.
that I have a lot of stuff to let go of. But
Yeah.
instead of letting go, I think I'm collecting stuff, you know.
Are you a collector? Do you have a lot of stuff around your house?
Yes, I have my a bucket where all my things I should let go of, I store it there. Well, it's getting better for sure, but it just takes time, I guess. It's
That's for sure. That I can guarantee you.
but there's like light at the end of the tunnel because I feel and I see how the attachment, how it's weakening.
Mm.
So, and it's I guess it's nice to be aware of things to let go of, because that's the first step, as you told us. So
Yeah.
I think
Yeah, really, this is something I would encourage all of you to really be aware of, that becoming aware of your attachments is something to really be grateful for. Excuse me, because then you know what to let go of. Most of the time, most people are, and I think that's what you're saying, Stefan, too, that, you know, in the past you had a lot of underground stuff there that you were not aware of. And how are you going to surrender something that you don't know?
yes.
So this makes it possible to work on it, and it is a blessing.
And it's, to be honest, now it changed too. Like when I notice something is coming up again, like to say for the 1 millionth time, I really have to laugh. I can't take it seriously anymore. It's
Yeah,
like,
well, that is a great step.
okay,
That is, yeah, this is a wonderful thing. You know, you get to the place in yourself where you say, "Oh, there it goes again," and then you
exactly.
have to just chuckle, and then it, you know, it's not as serious as what we thought it was in the past. So that's a great step. Yeah. And you're looking really good. So, I mean, but I know generally for a lot of people, it's been a hard week. So there's something in the atmosphere. And as I've said to some others of you, it's really important to not take any of that too personally, because, you know, things just happen. There are winds of energy and blockages and astrological things and all kinds of stuff that impacts us. And we just have to keep plodding along and doing the work and finding some place in us that is still open and aware.
Keep on swimming.
Keep on swimming, right? Or surfing, if you like that. Very good. Thank you, Stefan. Nice. Who else didn't say something last week and who is just dying to say something? Isa. Shall I say Isa or Ise?
Both are right. One is the English version, Isa.
Yeah.
Oops. And Isa is the Flemish version. But I lived in Canada for 20 years, so in Canada they
Yeah,
use
you
Isa,
sound
and
very,
in Belgium they
sound
use
very
Isa.
North American.
Yeah, exactly. That's why.
You don't have that Canadian.
Yeah, because I'm from Quebec. Quebec is a little bit more neutral.
But you spoke French also.
Yeah, also.
Go ahead. Sorry.
It was a confusing week. Some stuff, or some days it went well. Most of the time, very bad concentration. Really ridiculously bad. So even when I started, it was better. So it's gotten worse. But then I watched the video, Working Hard or Going Deeper, Rudy's video, where he says, just keep working when you reach that kind of plateau.
Impasse.
Just keep working. Yeah, just keep working. So I sit and I focus on the breath for as far as I managed to. And then I had a memory of my my granddad. And it was a very precious memory, so that somehow helped.
Yeah.
And I just worked with that. And I had a good class with Chris yesterday. It was very a nice focus, very nice focus.
Mm-hmm.
That worked very well. But it's hard work at the moment, definitely hard work.
Yeah, and this is something to really just accept, and take in.
Yeah, I did get one insight, and it was thoughts are like, I don't know if you've seen those rivers in India with all the plastic on top, and the plastic just keeps drifting. Yeah. And I thought my thoughts are like the plastic on those rivers, but the energy beneath keeps running. So just let the plastic go and don't worry about it.
Yeah.
The river keeps flowing.
That's good. And I think what you said about your grandfather, anything like that comes up from within, it's the subconscious, the deeper self is trying to help you by giving you glimpses of things that opens your heart, things that open your heart.
That's for sure. That opened my heart. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Isa.
Whatever, both are good. Don't worry.
Okay, shall we go to the left to Frank? Did you talk last week? I can't remember.
Yeah.
You did, yeah. So you can just say something about how it's been going.
So a bit with ups and downs, but had some problems with the lower three chakras to get open up my belly to feel the flow going more down to the lowest chakra, and didn't work that well in the beginning of the week. But
I was just going to comment from working with you just before that it seems to me that your the energy at the base of the spine is starting to wake up and is starting to throw you a little bit, which is a good sign,
Yeah, and I also had some experience with my friends. Like the friend that I know from a long time, and he he had some rough times losing his son, and then he started over again with another family. And I went there this week 2 times, so I noticed that there was some troubles in paradise there, but not
Yeah.
going too well. And I sat there for a long time without really talking about the problems or whatever. But then at the end, I sent a text message to his wife, and she opened up and said, normally I would say some quite common things and not going any deeper in it, and yeah, it's their problem or whatever. But that game, I wanted to do something about it, and then afterwards I was thinking, yeah, you're trying to save them or whatever, and maybe just try to be there if they want to talk about it, and not try to save them. Or at first, my impulse was I have to confront my friends with the problems in between them, and that is not going the good way. But then I thought maybe you don't have to save them. It's okay if they talk to you about, and you can give some feedback, and you can be there for them if they give the intention that they need you. But you don't have to really involve, or not involve, I mean confronting more.
So how did they respond to it, or how did you?
I only talk with the wife, and I think maybe, I don't know. I'm still doubting if I should ask some feedback. Maybe I later on I will contact her again, because she opened up a bit. The man didn't open up to me. It was trouble. So.
But I think it's good to not be too eager to save everyone, as you say yourself. So, but to be helpful and to be open and listen is a good thing. So,
yeah, it confused me also a bit, and I still don't know what to do. But I think, yeah.
Well, you have to feel your way into it, and the main thing is that you stay in contact with yourself. That's the biggest thing. Yeah.
Anyway, I responded a bit different than I should have done, or would have done a year ago or so.
And you don't know yet whether that was a good thing or not, or you feel that it was
I think it was a good thing. My first impulse was, I will say something general, and then
go on.
Conversation will end.
Yeah.
And I didn't do that. I really tried to listen.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like that to me, that you are opening more, and you're not, you're becoming then less reserved, but more aware of where other people are, and being helpful is a wonderful thing. It helps us to help others. So that's good.
Yeah, but then you want to have more, because they're friends, and I hate it when they're not feeling well. Huh?
Yeah.
It's but yeah, okay.
All right. Well, keep going, and sounds good. Who, Arpana, do you want to say something?
Yes.
Okay.
I didn't say anything about transformation last week, so I can start with that.
That would be great.
I think that is, you can say a lot about that because it's, and it's ongoing, you know, you have to work all the time, and then it's new challenges that you have to meet. But for me, it's a lot about letting go. Not being so attached to your identity, and kind of transforming that into a more open, flexible creature. And yeah. I'm very, very tired today, so my English isn't that very well. So yeah.
That's fine. You sound good. And do you find that you know, when you're letting go, to the extent that you let go, this transformation happens spontaneously, or do you feel like you?
No. It's a process, and you have to, or at least I have to eat slowly, digest, and then once you start to let go, then you can go to the next step, and then there's different things to let go of that you didn't even know. So it's ongoing.
Yeah, I mean, the process itself, the work, is definitely something that you have to do. But once you've done the work, you said that, you know, you become a more flexible, open. And doesn't that sort of happen as a result of the work? You don't have to make yourself more flexible or open. At least in my experience, I discover that, oh, I'm more flexible, I'm more open.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. That it's you go through all of these things in the work, and then all of a sudden you discover that you have let go of many things, and things change in so many aspects.
Yeah, and it's actually working. Very happy for you. Fabulous. Okay, last but not least, Wendy. You have to unmute yourself.
For me, it was a difficult week. I had a lot of resistance for doing my meditation. Every time when I do my meditation, I cried a lot. Things came up. Also about last week, I was so confident, and I had more grounding, and Tuesday morning, everything was gone, all that feeling. And it was like I awake out the illusion. I felt so fake about me, and I'm not so strong, and I can't do it on my own. And then Wednesday, it was the same with the meditation. I received a message from a friend. It was about family constellations. It was a case that she sent to me. In the past, I did IVF, in vitro fertilization, and I was a few times pregnant, but I lost it every time. And we did a lot of things for that. But yeah, she sent that message because there was also a case with the same thing for being pregnant. And then I closed the message and it was gone. And then I received another message from the woman. A few years ago, we sold our other house. We built that for the intention for the children. And she wanna ask me for some things on the house. And I answered that. But then she said, if you like, you can drink here, something. And I thought, okay, it's from politeness. And then she sent off, if you want to do a walk with me sometime. But it was raining, and yeah. And then she asked the other day if I did some yoga of other stuff for relaxation. And I thought, oh no, she wants really contact with me. And I leave the house here because I drive to the library. And before I drive out, I have to stop. And she was there. She did a walk with her children. It was like, yeah, I don't want to face the messages. I want to face, because I found it difficult to going back in that house. I don't know for what it was. I thought it was for the house, but it's because I'm not all digest that thing from being pregnant. And yeah, she was there and I cannot escape anymore. It was just, I was at a ceremony and I have to face it, and I have to do this. And then I said, okay, I'm gonna do this. And when after a week, we meet each other in the house. So yeah, I'm gonna confrontate it with that. And yeah.
It turned out to be a very good experience.
I'm not yet be in the house, but it's coming on the few weeks that's coming now.
Yeah, but even aside, I mean, of course, the house is a very good practical thing, but also the fact that you could deal with all this pain that has been, you know, put down. So yeah, you have a lot of pain in you, but allowing it to come up and be digested is really the only way to go through grief. You know, we talked before, and it's working for you, but you know, the tendency is to get very disturbed and self-blaming when it's at the low point in the cycle. But, try to make yourself keep eating, keep going, keep doing it, and don't blame yourself. Just, you know, the pain that we are digesting is in a way very beautiful and very pure. It's when it goes into the brain and we start to analyze and blame and judge, that's when it gets ugly.
Yeah.
So, and you know, there's a saying, Wendy, that if you don't cry at some point in your meditation practice, you are not working deeply enough. So the fact that you are, be grateful, enjoy your tears. I do.
Yeah,
Even if it's
yeah,
on the internet.
because I noticed the week when teacher trainings begins, it was already started because in the outside I saw a lot of babies
Yeah,
and I don't want to look at them.
yeah. Well, I mean, I feel for you, of course. So,
Yeah, because I accept it and yeah, but I have no strong mother feeling anymore. But I know I want to do in the future something with children. But first, yeah, there is a piece that I pushed away.
yeah. So you have to allow it to come in and digest it and go through the process. And this can take a year or two or more sometimes, you know, it's serious stuff.
Yeah, I have a lot of stuff.
Everybody does.
Yeah.
Everybody does. So that's great. Thank you very much. And you're looking good. I think you'll feel new energy coming into you now, you know, as you let go of some of those things and just accept that you're going to have some deep valleys of experience, but don't panic. Don't panic, you know. There is help there. You are connected. The main thing is to be connected with your deeper self and the energy at the core of you. So
Yeah, because Thursday with open eyes, I want to run away because when you said open your eyes, I said no, I don't want to open my eyes. All I want to do is cry.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you can cry too. There's this is the thing, you know, crying. It's a kind of kriya. It's a spontaneous movement responding to the energy. And if you feel the urge to cry, then you know you're supposed to cry. There's something that's supposed to melt in you. Don't you kind of feel that something is melting when you allow your tears to flow? Mine do all the time. I'm not trying to control it. It just happens. And it's very wonderful. It's your own sweetness. It's your own, you know, it's your own Mount Fuji melting. It runs down the mountain. So don't hold back. And that goes for all of you. You know, it's if you have some spontaneous movement or something happen as a result of the energy moving in you, allow it to happen. You even, you know, push through resistance and just open to it.
Yeah, I was fighting with that because I said to myself, no, not crying now, not crying.
Yeah.
Not now.
Yeah. But maybe it's exactly now that you should. All right. That was everybody, I think, huh? Okay, thank you very much for your comments and opening yourself like this. That is very good. Now let's see, you know, I want to now try to get the thing up here. Can you see the presentation on there now? No, let's see. Where is that little thing that says I can share? There it is. There it is. Share screen. Okay. So we've done the open eyes. Now we've done the reflection as well. And now we start talking a little bit about the philosophy behind the practice. And I would like for you at the end, you know, to say a few things now about the tradition. I asked you to look at the books and read some of the sections about this stuff, but you don't have to do any kind of philosophical presentation, but you might be able to say something about how some of these things that I'm going through now and some of the things you read fits in with your own experience. That would be nice if you could make some of those connections as you try to say something about the tradition that our practice generally is tied to, broadly speaking, is the tantric tradition, as opposed to the Vedic tradition or any number of other traditions. And I'll just go through some of these things. Tantra, the word very simply means tan, which is to expand, and tra, which is method. So it's a method to expand ourselves, to not be stuck as little identities, but to expand our sense of being and energy flow and all that. In the beginning, this was a very secret kind of esoteric practice, and it was only transferred orally in India. This was going on. And it was a bit of a reaction, to the Vedic tradition with the system of separating levels of society and all that, and the fact that only the Brahmin priests, could achieve real liberation through their practice. The tantric branch of philosophy emphasized that this is available for everyone. Everyone can do it. And in fact, the beginning of the tantric practitioners tended to be non-touchables. In other words, the lowest level of society. And they would go and do all kinds of a little bit strange things in the beginning. They went against all the Vedic traditions. They ate meat, they had sexual kind of ceremonies of various kinds, and it was all and they meditated on burial grounds. In the beginning, it was quite esoteric, and gradually it became less so. But some of those early traditions were done in reaction to the very tight Indian society, to open it up and to not have everything be a matter of do this, but don't do this, don't do this, don't do that. It's only good for some people, not for others. So it also opened up the way for women to practice. And this same thing also refers to, Buddhism also had this pattern happen. It also came out as a reaction against Vedic tightness in a way. So they were breaking out of cultural patterns and limitations, and every culture has its patterns and limitations. I don't care where you're living, in Austria or Norway or whatever, and there are limitations, and it's good to respect them, but not to be stuck in them necessarily. So this is what the tantric tradition teaches us. It's a systematic method to transform our awareness so that we are not stuck in our individual or cultural patterns and limitations. In one sense, it's a practice that leads us to where we already are. And that is a way of saying that we find back to the source of our being. The theory is that everything unfolds and then contracts again. And so all of it unfolds from a source, a mystical source that you can call a number of things. We'll talk about it. But, we are already that source, but we lose track of it. We lose awareness of it. So we have to kind of work our way back to who we originally were. Some of the characteristics then of Tantrism is that the main goal is to awaken and become one with the self, with a big S. That self is the same as Shiva Shakti. That's the energy and the stillness or the silence or the pure potential. So Tantrism accepts all aspects of life, basically. You know, there's nothing that you have to think about that, you know, I can't do this or I can't do that, or I must do this or I must do that. It can be practiced by everyone, and it's an embracive practice tradition. But it's free from chasing and clinging. So you embrace life, but at the same time, you let it go, which sounds contradictory. But as you know, when you're hugging somebody, you can hug them with a lot of clinging, or you can hug them as a way of freeing them. You can just hug them with the awareness that, okay, we have a flow of energy here, but you're not clinging to the person in a way that you constrain them. And you can feel the difference with that when you hug somebody who wants to control you. You know, you feel that you are not really in good hands. So we can become aware of that. And the Tantric tradition generally has a focus on direct energy transmission from teacher to student. Now, the energy transmission is a way of talking, you know, but it's really inviting a student to share in that deeper energy awareness. And but it's okay to think of it as an energy transmission, because then you feel that you are being nourished in the process, and you are and should be. If you have questions along the way, you can interrupt me if you want to push your unmute button. But I want to focus in a little bit on Kashmir Shaivism, which is an aspect of Hinduism. It's not exactly a religion, it's a living philosophy and practice that was very prevalent in Kashmir in the 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th century. And it's a form of Tantrism. And the main concept here, and the main experiential awareness, is that Shiva and Shakti are one. In other words, the source of everything, which is that silent mystery that you open to when you let go completely. If you had that experience, you know, you open and you just are. There's a sense of non-dualism there. There's nothing, you feel one with yourself, you feel one with everything. And that's why the symbol there of Shiva and Shakti, you know, the male and female in one figure, is a symbol of that awareness. Everybody has male and female characteristics in them, and it's very important that these are balanced in such a way that we can not be overly this or that. I think we can all agree that the world could definitely benefit from a little bit more female energy, particularly in the political arena. You know, there's way too much over-aggression and so on. So more softness, if you can identify that as a more Shakti characteristic, that is a good thing. But we can find that balance in ourselves as individual practitioners. We open to that deeper self and we feel, oh, okay, I'm not limited to being a tough guy. I can cry, I can be, and you know, more and more this is becoming acceptable, but it's not so easy to do because you have to have a method of opening inside for that to happen. So this Kashmir Shaivism, which is also called Trika tradition in some cases, it is emphasizing oneness, but consisting of a number of triads. You know, there are three aspects within this oneness. There's consciousness. There's, in other words, the base of everything, the pure awareness, and then there's a creative power or energy that is vibrating in that. And then there is all the manifestation that flows from that creative power. Those are three different aspects. And their student, teacher, and the contact between them. There are the three, in the spine, you have the Sushumna, the Ida, and the Pingala, the different channels in the spine. There are three of them.
You're muted.
You're muted again.
Now? Jawohl. Okay. Okay, so I know this is somewhat, esoteric sounding, but it is relevant to experience, and it's at least a certain point after you have practiced for a while and started to experience things, it does make sense to be aware of some of these writings, because it shows, that this has been practiced for many, many centuries, and that there is a reality inside that we can contact through the practice. So you can think of it as being, like the analogy here with the ocean. You have the ocean itself, which is boundless consciousness and full of potential. And then you have Shakti, which is the waves, which is energy, essence of all manifestation. And everything, interacts with energy and then gradually unfolds as a very complicated manifestation of this universe and many other universes, as far as we know. We just don't know. But one thing that's interesting to observe and is this thing here, that there are 5 different aspects to this deeper self, or this deeper reality. And that is that it has a natural tendency to create, it maintains, then it dissolves. Those are the 3 main things. And you can observe that in your everyday life. I mean, as individual people, we are born, we live a while, then we die. Relationships, born, last a while, die. Some relationships last all life, but they will eventually dissolve. And that's true of the whole universe, probably. Certainly on the lower level, the whole solar systems dissolve, et cetera, et cetera. So the more we can be in tune with that natural process of allowing our creative energy to unfold, and we maintain it for a while, but accept that it has to also dissolve. We have to let go. Those things are important to be in tune with. Otherwise, we are always fighting against. And this the fourth and fifth aspects here is built into reality, as far as human beings are concerned, at least, that there's a veiling force. There's a force that kind of blinds us to recognize who we really are. So, when we talk about thinking that we are this limited body and we are this limited mind and all of that, well, this is kind of a veil that is covering our eyes and keeping us from seeing the real deeper self that we are. Fortunately, there is the last element there, aspect, which is liberation. You can, through grace, dissolve the veil. And then, you know, you have the experience of freeing yourself from your tensions and patterns and blocks and all of that. And things get different, much more flowing and much more aware through practice. So, you know, we can be really glad and happy and grateful that this grace exists. And I would say all of you, and myself included, you know, the reason that I'm doing this practice is grace. Is the liberation force, the liberating force that is built into us that at some point in our lives tell us, well, gee, there must be more to life than this, than just thinking and analyzing and you know, reproducing and eating and all of that, and then you die. There's nothing wrong with all of that, but it's not all there is. So it is something to be grateful for. Now, this is a little bit complicated looking, but it's really just a picture of what's called the doctrine of vibration in one text of this Kashmir Shaivism tradition. And you can see here that, you know, it says Anuttara or Parashiva. This is the basic background behind all creation, all manifestation. It's that mystical, infinite awareness, consciousness, being and non-being united behind everything. And then mysteriously on that background, through this little tiny point called Bindu, which is similar to our chakras, you know, manifestation occurs mysteriously out of nothing. It just comes. Said that Arpana had gone to the waiting room. I don't know why. Okay, so Arpana, are you there?
Yes, sorry, it's a bit bad connection here. So
Oh yeah, no problem. I hope you can be back. Yeah, I saw that you were in a waiting room.
yeah, sorry.
Okay, so the thing to be aware of here, you know, is that as the universe unfolds, as us included, it unfolds as a power of mentation, in other words, to think and feel and so on. Power of the senses, we can feel all kinds of things externally and internally. And then we have all the outer objects of the senses. We have the whole so-called, you know, what science calls the real world. And the tendency is for us to get stuck as human beings in the outer rings, not the way outer rings, because then you are in Parashiva, but in the outer ring here of the outer objects of senses. People are stuck in chasing after things, wanting things, clinging to things, and thinking that that's the real thing, you know? But if we can do what's called reverse emergence, that we go backward through this unfolding and we go back into the Bindu point, which is similar to the chakra. Bindu point is on a universal level. Chakras are on our individual level, the self. If we can go through that, we will be able to contact this Parashiva, this infinite awareness, the self with a big S. And in that, when we can do that, then we can basically accept the whole flowing out of the universe and dissolution of the universe in ourselves. And you do that, you know, basically with every breath. Every time you open your eyes, you create the universe, and you close your eyes and it contracts, and you breathe, it expands and contracts. So this particular text here, interestingly enough, it calls, you know, being liberated from the tendency to be trapped in this wheel. If you can liberate you from it, you are a master of the wheel, which is kind of a cute title to get. Who wants to be a master of the wheel? There, yeah. So, you know, although this looks a little bit esoteric and so on, it shows very clearly something that we can experience really in our own practice. We can experience this unfolding and contraction. We can experience the energy flow there manifesting as ourselves and the world, and we can go backwards and we can contact this Bindu point, which is the center of the universe everywhere in the universe. And this is conforms really well with quantum physics, by the way, which I'm not an expert on that by any means, but it's interesting. So just to show you a picture that has been presented in that. Now what? There. So what we will experience, and you are all experiencing it, is that there are lots of layers of energy in us. Many energy vibrations exist. They are directly connected with different aspects of our existence. And through this practice, we can become able to experience more subtle, deeper vibrations in ourselves, and we can also sense them in other people. And as this crystallization dissolves, we become aware of more flow. In a way, we go from ice to flow to steam, you know, as it heats up and moves up our spine. I just added these words myself just to, well, I did the whole thing, but I did it based on the text. This is just to show that, you know, what is it that stops us from being a master of the wheel? Well, it's our tension, our anxiety, our fear, blockages that we have that gets us stuck in the mind, and we are not able to go to the deeper self. Now, there are different stages of practice that are discussed in this text. I don't go too deeply into it, but you know, there's a stage of a strategy or a kind of level of practice where devotion and self-discipline is most important. And in the beginning, most people have to do that. You know, you have to kind of make yourself sit down regularly, and you are more or less in dualism. It's called anavapaya. And this stage is necessary in order to build a foundation for experience of more energy and immersion. The Shaktopaya strategy or level, and these interact with each other. You're not going directly into one and staying there necessarily, but here the emphasis is more on courage, being grounded in energy experience. And the final one here is Shambhavapaya, which is a real deep immersion in the presence of the self. It requires total relaxation, centering, and surrendering into the self. So you will be able to gradually experience all of these strategies or levels of practice, and you can go back and forth between them. Now, I want to mention Buddhism also, because in the topic of Tantra, Buddhism is also a tantric practice, or a part of it is Tantrism. And that part of it is called Tantrayana. I studied something called Chöd with Wangde Lama in Tibet, or actually in Nepal, but he's Tibetan. And that's a very, very interesting way of practicing cutting through tensions and blocks And when you guys come down here for the retreat, we will do a chud ceremony. Some of you might have participated in that already on the internet as we did it. So, but we learned to, as quickly as possible, you know, feel and speak and act right now as if you are fully liberated. This is what Buddha, this Tantrayana preaches, and it's possible. We have to kind of forget about all of our thoughts about our shortcomings and just start acting like we really are in a deeper state. And it also emphasizes transformation of desires. And that's that all those desires are limitations. They are fuel for our growth. In a way, they are, you can burn your limitations by throwing them on the fire of your inner work. Taoism as well, and I don't know enough, Stefan, of the South American traditions to add those, but I do know that they have something they call the chakras for eyes, some of them, and things like that, right? The eyes of the psychic. So anyway, there are parallels in all of these traditions that are worth noticing. Taoism talks about the great one, that which has nothing above it. So that's similar to the Parashiva of Kashmir Shaivism. There's something called primal spirit, which is similar to pure energy. It's called a center in the midst of condition, that's being centered in yourself in the energy flow rather than being in the mind, thinking and worrying. And then you have all the ego and its agents, an illusion, which is called conscious spirit in this tradition. I don't know why they use these words, but it's a translation from the Chinese, of course. And Rudy loved this book, Secret of the Golden Flower. If any of you want to read it, it's available on Amazon, I think. But it's a little bit complicated, you know. But our practice is relatively simple, so I'm not trying to make you think that all of this has to be very complicated. It's only to give you some of the philosophical background so that you can feel that you understand how your practice fits in with the traditions that are at least 1,000 years old. And here we went through this last week, actually. I have the same slide again. You know, as the energy rises and unfolds, it brings physical health to the body and balance to the mind. The end result is that it dawns on us that we are unified with the highest consciousness that lies at the heart of the whole universe. So there you have the tantric idea is very much part of our practice. Every level is more subtle and powerful than the one below it. As you grow, every level dissolves in the next and becomes integrated. So you become, you know, this is another reason you don't have to think that you have to lose any part of yourself. You're only gonna rise above yourself and be bigger than yourself. You don't have, nothing is lost unless you choose not to have it in your life. Yeah, this is just a summary of the practice. You know what we're doing: breath, wish, gratitude, circulating the energy, aligning with the essence in the core of the body, and our physical, mental, and emotional health improves. Range of motion expands. You notice that when you practice, you get expanded, and you are able to feel more, and you're able to respond to people in a very different way, and you're able to respond to yourself in a very different way. Okay, I got through it. I know that's a lot of information, and I don't intend for you to get lost in information, but just reflect on it, look at it when we send this out to you, and think of it in terms of your own practice. and transformation process. I'll ask you now to talk for a few minutes. We have a half hour, and each of you can say something. Maybe you remember some of what I said in the presentation and some of what you read, and referring to both your personal experience and also the philosophy a little bit, you know, not that we expect you to have any big memory of all of these words, but some of the basic essence of it. Who's ready to start? Hey, Wendy, you are big on the screen. You're locked out. You want to start? I'm trying to unmute you. Can't seem to unmute you. Can you unmute yourself?
Yeah, okay.
There you are unmuted. Yeah, good. Spend 5 minutes talking to us about what you think about this particular kind of tradition.
Yeah, for me, the most important thing I have learned is from the 5 actions of consciousness, how they works.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. The creation and the maintaining of how you say it.
Maintenance, yeah, maintaining.
Maintenance, maintaining.
What is
There's
that in Dutch?
Vasthouden.
Vasthouden?
Vasthouden, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like an example for me. I have to work on my thoughts, my mind, and it's like the thoughts arise as manifestation. When you pay attention to your thoughts, you maintain them. And when you no longer feed your thoughts, they dissolve, dissolution.
Yeah.
And the same with your emotions. When you embrace a pain and don't push it away, it is dissolution, it dissolves. I understand now more, but it's not easy how to ego works and how you can stuck in the ego. Yeah, and we prefer to hold on what is. It's not easy to let go for me. Yeah, but yeah.
And why do you think it's not easy to let go? Well, how does the 2 last aspects, veiling and dissolution, how do you think that works as a way of explaining why it's so hard to let go?
Because I'm so attached on people, the place where I'm staying. Yeah, it's difficult to let go because you don't know the fear, I think. You don't know what is coming. Yeah. Good. It's also because I have not so much grounding. It's like, yeah, someone taken the...
Yeah. Sorry, does it help you to hear that these things are not personal, but they are built into you?
Yeah, because I know it's there are actions from Shiva.
So it's even that, you know, even the veiling force, if you like to think of God, even the veiling force is God. This is a very, you know, non-dualistic,
Yeah.
which the Western Christianity most of the time and other traditions, they are very dualistic. There's good and evil and there's blah, 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 you know. But here, okay, so, you know, it all unfolds and
But it's sometimes difficult because with karma, because you need that
Yeah.
for the experience, for the 5 actions you have, the cycles. But yeah, I find it difficult to accept that you have to go first to all that karma and then for dissolved, for going back to your who you really are.
Yeah.
It's yeah.
that's not, you know, we don't have to take that so personally either. And that's what the
No.
mind tends to want to do. It wants to take it personally. But I think I might have mentioned to you before what Rudy said once in response to a question, very convoluted, difficult question somebody asked him. And he said, look, they spin the wheel. In other words, this is a different wheel than what we are talking about here, but this is the wheel of fortune, you know, and you spin it, and then it stops and you pop out and it's a big mess and you have to clean it up. So it just happened, you know, we come out with all this karmic potential and then we build more karma as we live. But, you know, the less personally we take that in terms of feeling guilty and so on, the better it is. It's just a job to do. Do the best we can at it.
But
Yeah.
is it also when you are upstairs and you want to come to on earth, you choose things that you want to learn and you have to
That's
go
one way to think a bit. I don't know, you know, what I mean, do you choose your own parents? Do you choose, if you think like that, then okay, fine, then that's your job. But the job is the same whether you chose it or not, you know.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter.
You have to go through the
You got
test,
it.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I think personally, to think too much like, you know, you chose everything is a little bit more conducive. It creates more of a sense of guilt and worry, because then you look around you and say, why the heck did I choose these parents if you have difficult parents?
Yeah.
So better to think that, well, you know, the universal forces just spun the wheel and I popped out. So I like that better, but you can, if you like that, that's okay, you know. Yeah, thank you, Wendy. Very nice.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, who else? Stefan.
Okay. Can you hear me? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I really like this tradition, and most of you know, like I do also a lot of work in South America, and there I also like the Advaita Vedanta approach to things. It's also non-dual.
Yeah.
And it's also said like that every religion serves its purpose. It's good for some way, but I really believe at some point everyone comes to this non-dual approach. It has to be, because this Christianity never worked for me, that you find your blessing or your absolution in this afterlife, or not now. It's not working for me. And also in the South American tradition, you have like, it's believed that we have 4 bodies. it's the spiritual, the mental, the emotional, and the physical body. And they both need cleaning, a lot of cleaning, because it's full of, they describe it as malo. It's like of, well, it's in a way it's evil spirits, but it's not like the devil or so. It is what it is. And we collected it over lifetimes. And
Yeah.
those energies or those spirits, they're ancient, they're really old, and they know exactly what buttons to press. And
Yeah.
and
Would you say that that would be similar to the veiling force?
exactly.
Yeah.
We collect them, and then it's hard to let go of that.
Exactly. Yeah.
And also in that regard, like, never try to feel guilty or sad about something if you mess up, because this feeling of guilt, this is exactly feeling those very evil spirits. That you try to get rid of some evil spirit, like, for example, I don't know, everyone has addictions for something, and then you give in to that addiction, you let it happen, and then you feel like sad or think over it for weeks, and then you're feeling the exact same thing. So
Right.
once you realize that pattern, how it plays, it's really, in a way, really fun to play and to watch.
Mm.
And
Very good.
regarding those wailing, and so much stuff has like fallen away and is not important anymore. And it's really like a blade of grass. It really doesn't matter what is happening.
Mm.
It's like this, more and more I observe this whole thing like a movie.
Yeah.
I think that's the best. And yes, it's beautiful. This human birth is like, it's a great gift, yes. But for me, let's be honest, currently it's also a shithole on this planet. Sorry for the language, but
Yeah.
so I'm really not attached to that anymore. And as long as this body lasts, yes, I will try to work as hard and to be of service. But yes, it's
Yeah. Okay, very nice, Stefan. Well, do you have more?
it's just difficult to deal with people, or if they feel sad or worried about some things. And for me, I just think, okay, yeah, well, it's this wheel going on, this samsara, and
Yeah.
I'm trying to get not attached, and it's really like a blade of grass. Then you kind of need to be a good actor, don't, to feel compassion, and because otherwise, if it could be understood really cold, but it's not meant cold. Hope.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, that's good. You're reflecting a lot on these things, and that's great. One of the first things Rudy said when I started practicing there was, because, there were, I don't know if I can say this and be politically correct or not, but there were quite a few Jewish people there. Rudy himself was Jewish, and the Jews have a tendency to feel a lot of guilt. It's a generalization. It's not true for everybody, of course. But he said, some people were expressing they felt guilty about this and that and that and that. And he said, the first thing you do when you walk into this meditation room, there's a bathroom before you go in. You go in that bathroom and you flush your guilt down the toilet, and then you come in and meditate. So, it's just interesting. So that's good. And I think it's interesting to compare the different traditions, so, and there are so many similarities, and that you can go to this non-dualistic way of being, it's really the only place where solutions will come out spontaneously. And but it's not so popular, unfortunately.
Well,
It's popular with us.
Yes.
So thank you very much, Stefan. That's great. And you're really growing through this. All of you are. So that's wonderful. Who wants to be next? We got Franco.
Okay. What I liked the most when I read a section in your book was that it's not an ism, and meaning that there are basically no subscriptions or rules or a list of do's and don'ts. And in most practices or most other forms, you find some kind of set of rules or some basic rules, and here you don't. It's just a guideline for a practice that you can explore for yourself, and without a set of rules. Okay, it's given by a teacher, and you learn from some guiding, and that makes it a bit unique, I think. I don't know a lot about other practices, but most you can find some set of rules of do's and don'ts, and and then the 5 aspects or the 5 forces is kind of new. I think it's very interesting to see what that means, but because it's that new, the failing aspect, I didn't expect that to be part of it. But yeah, it's a way of looking at the failing aspect is in our Western tradition and Christian tradition. That's something that's put outside. Also in Buddhism, I think it's put outside. It's
in some parts of Buddhism, it is. Yeah, there's a big difference between Southeast Asia Buddhism and Tibetan Buddhism, for example, and so on. So, yeah.
Anyway, that was quite revealing that it's included and not sort of excluded.
Well, you know, it's not the devil's work, you know. It's even that is God's work, you could say, you know.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a relief, you know.
Yeah. It puts aside a lot of guilt, because
puts aside guilt. It's rid of the whole concept of evil, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You can talk about things that are good for you and things that are not so good for you, but we get out of this evil and so on, you know. This is so, well, that's good. Thank you. Were you finished? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think about finished. Yeah.
Very nice. Yeah, you got some good things out of that. That's great. And you know, keep reflecting on it in terms of your own practice, because that's where it has the most importance, really.
I only read it yesterday, so
Well, you heard
time to reflect.
You heard some information. Yeah, you heard some today too. So, and you get the copy of that in the mail, so you can look it over again.
Sure.
Thank you very much, Franco. Arpana, you want to be next?
I think I'm gonna skip this one because I can't really find the words today.
Yeah, okay. You'll find the words for next time, huh?
Yes, I will. Thanks.
Find the Norwegian words and then you can translate it yourself.
No, it's
Run
just
it through Google Translator.
no. I don't think I could say it in Norwegian either.
It's not language. No, it's just,
No.
that's totally fine.
Okay.
Totally fine. We respect that for sure. Isa, do you want to say something?
Yeah, mine is short.
Okay.
It was during a meditation, and it actually has to do with the memory of my granddad. And it was a picture of him sitting in his wheelchair. He'd had a stroke and he couldn't talk anymore. He couldn't do anything anymore except sit in his wheelchair. But his eyes were full of joy and laughter. And because I have my back problem, which kind of immobilizes me 80% of the time, and I wasn't feeling very happy about that. I felt like I'd lost something. When I remembered him, I saw that spirit in him and that it transcended the body. And it lifted me up quite a bit. It was quite amazing. And it's somehow when I breathe, it doesn't have anything to do with the body, it doesn't have to do with life. It just is. And it's beautiful. It just is.
Yeah.
And that memory reminded me that, okay, you can be sick, but it doesn't matter. There's something way beyond that. And that's my thing for today.
Yeah, well, that's quite beautiful. That's quite beautiful. Wonderful. Yeah, thank you very much, Isa. Thank you, all of you. And we will see you again. I haven't looked at the next date, but it's either in 1 or 2 weeks. I know that.
It's in 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks, yeah. So you get an extra week to study the philosophy. There you have it. But lots of love to all of you. I'm really very, very excited and pleased about the progress you're making, and I'm appreciative of your engagement. So thank you very much, and have a good couple of weeks. And look forward to seeing you again. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.